Hey everybody, I'm Calvin, and this is the Saturn Return. So for today's content, we're actually doing the Saturn Returns 2019 Spring Rig Rundown. It's a little video segment series I made highlighting most of the main instruments I used to make the music. There are some things, of course, that I didn't list, mostly because I sold it or I use it very sparingly. But without further ado, why don't we just go ahead and get started? First up is the Korg Minilog Polyphonic Synthesizer. This is a very well-reviewed and popular product in the music community. Lots of people enjoy this, including myself. I typically use it for pads, soundscapes, and textures, and probably every single one of my songs. It does go in there somewhere. Next up is the Arturia Drum Brute drum machine. This is my primary drum machine device and a lot of my recording setup. I really enjoy the individual instruments and how they each have their own tweaks and settings, and then you can also individually have them all triggered or outputted from the back into maybe modular Eurorack rigs or whatever your desires be. Next up is the Arturia Drum Brute Impact. I actually use this and its distortion feature on this particular drum machine unit specifically to just thicken up the drum brute that was mentioned prior. It has a really good job of doing that. It's completely MIDI synced in its MIDI channels to match the Arturia Drum Brute 1-for-1, and also includes an FM synthesis drum, which is super cool. I'll use that occasionally too, separately. Now for my acoustic drums, I don't have anything too outstanding. I just have a D-drum Poplar Basswood 4-piece kit, but I do use this Mapex Armory Series Daisy Cutter. It's a 6.5-inch hammered steel snare, and it is quite the firecracker. I also use Sabian XSR cymbals. Some of them have this cool finish. I think it's called Monarch from what I remember. Don't quote me on that. It's that or the big and ugly cymbals, but I love them all the same, and I think they're the same thing as the XSR. At least the ones I have are. My main 6-string is a PRS baritone Mike Mushuk signature model. I really enjoy this for what it was coming out of the box. Bone stock was pretty playable right away. It holds its tuning pretty okay. The neck is really well done and pretty straight. Holds obviously my weird tunings just fine and feels really good. I do have, of course, a few upgrades set in line for this, but until I get them all lined up in a row, it's been doing just fine as it is. Now we're down to my favorite instrument of choice and probably the one I play the most, the electric bass. Most of the Saturn Returns music actually revolves around ideas that start on this instrument. So this is the Warwick Thumb 4 Bolt-On German Pro Series. It's made of Ovencall neck, Ovencall body. It's super heavy, super solid, and very reliable. I can't get enough of this damn thing. It is a 2001, and I believe that's one of the first years German Pro Series basses came out, and it's had its fair share of falls, dings, and damages. But there's no signal buzz, and it still maintains the stability of tuning, even when I use alternate tunings on it, and it's been nothing short of a beast. I love it to death. I do dread the day that I'll eventually have to update and replace this thing, because I don't know if I can afford a new one. It's pretty scary, but that's for tomorrow's Calvin. Oh yeah, that damage is pretty rough. Last but certainly not least in my setup is of course my main pedal effects. I go through guitar and bass with these and any combination and order depending on each song. So the first in my signal chain here is the Dark Glass B7K Ultra. It looks a little different because of the limited run finish. Then afterwards we have here the Dark Glass Alpha Omega Ultra, and in all of its glory. And then my most recent dark glass purchase is, of course, the Dark Glass Microtubes X7, which is pretty much always on now. And then finally, for reverb and delay and reverb pads, I have the Source Audio Ventris dual reverb pedal. Everything is powered in the back by a Strymon Ojai for isolated power. My pedal boards are Blackbird. So that's the gist of the stuff I used to make the music. If there's anything that I forgot or you want a more in-depth explanation, please feel free to comment below and I'll get on that as soon as possible. You can also message me on my Facebook. The link's actually down below in the description, and there you'll find the production rundown on how I mix, master, track, and reference most of this music. If you like the video and you like this content and you hope to see more of it, don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button. If you like it, share it with your friends, post it in places, put it wherever the social media sprinkles typically tend to be. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.